Recording in progress.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to bring the Washoe County Planning Commission meeting for Tuesday, February 7th, 2023 to order. If I could get a roll call for a determination of quorum, please.
Sarah Savilicek.
Here.
Francine Donchik.
Here.
Michael Flick. Daniel Lazareski.
Here.
Kate Nelson.
Here.
Rob Pierce.
Here.
Pat Phillips.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much.
Madam Chair, if I could, and I do apologize, I did receive a phone call from Commissioner Flick. He will not be in attendance tonight.
Thank you, Secretary Lloyd. Daniel, if you could lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Mr. Augusta, that we could have the ethics law, please.
All right. Commissioners are reminded that if with respect to any matter or any person coming before the commission today, number one, you've received a gift or loan. Number two, you have a pecuniary interest. Number three, you have a commitment in a private capacity such as a family, employment, business, or similar relationship. Or number four, if you've provided representation or counseling before an agency to a person or entity for compensation within the last year on a matter that's being considered here tonight, please remember to disclose that gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation at the time the matter is being considered. And furthermore, please abstain from deliberation or voting on the matter if it's clear that the gift, loan, interest, commitment, or prior representation would materially affect the independence of judgment of a reasonable person. Commissioners are also reminded that under the Planning Commission rules, if you've had any contact outside this meeting with any persons interested in a matter coming before the commission today, you should disclose the nature of that contact at this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gunn. Secretary Lloyd, if we could have the appeal procedure, please.
Yeah, most decisions rendered by the Planning Commission are appealable to the Board of County Commissioners. If you disagree with the decision of the Planning Commission and you qualify as an aggrieved person or party, you may appeal in writing within 10 calendar days from the date that the decision being appealed is reduced to writing, filed with the Secretary of the Planning Commission, and mailed to the original applicant in the proceeding being appealed in accordance with Washoe County Code. Please call the planning staff immediately at 328-6100 for information on the appeal procedure and the application fee.
Thank you, Secretary Lloyd. Next up is public comment, and public comment heard under this item will be limited to 3 minutes per person and may pertain to matters both on and off the agenda. However, action may not be taken on any matter raised during the public comment period until the matter is specifically listed on an agenda as an action item. Comments are to be made to the Planning Commission as a whole. Do we have any public comment either in-house or via Zoom?
We have no public comment in chambers or via Zoom.
Thank you. Hearing that, we will close public comment. Move on to item 6, which is approval of the February 7th, 2023 agenda.
Commissioner Nelson will approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson. Do we have a second?
This is Rob. For the record, I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a first and a second. Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval of the January 3, 2023 draft minutes. So is there a motion or any identify any additions or corrections?
Commissioner Phillips, I so move to approval of the draft minutes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Do we have a second?
This is Rob. I'll second it.
Thank you for a second. So we have a first and a second. No additions or corrections at this time.
If I may, just so the record reflects it, we do have some corrections that Commissioner Lazareski pointed out. Both in the motions, the commissioner's name was not stated. The seconds were, but the commissioners who made the motions were not. We do have those names. The corrections will be made.
Thank you very much. So will you amend your motions with corrections?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. We have our first and second saying they will amend the motions with stated corrections. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you. Next, we move on to public hearings. First one is item 8A. Secretary Lloyd, if you could, please.
Certainly. This item before you is Master Plan Amendment and Regulatory Zone Amendment, case number WMPA 220007 and WRZA 220008. For hearing, discussion, and possible action to, 1, approve an amendment to the Cold Springs Area Plan, a component of the Washoe County Master Plan, to redesignate one parcel totaling 2,500 square feet from suburban residential to industrial, and 2, to initiate and recommend adoption of an amendment to the Cold Springs Regulatory Zone map to redesignate one parcel totaling 2,500 square feet from public, semi-public facilities to industrial. The regulatory zone amendment is subject to final approval by the Board of County Commissioners of the associated master plan amendment and a finding of conformance with Truckee Meadows Regional Plan by the regional planning authorities. And 3, if approved, authorize the chair to sign the resolution to this effect. Representing Washoe County in this matter is Planner Kat Oakley.
Thank you, Trevor. Welcome, Kat.
Thank you. Kat Oakley, Washoe County Planning. So the case before you right now is a request for a master plan and regulatory zone amendment from Panettone Development for 395 North. As was just stated, there are a couple parts of this request. First, to change the master plan designation for one 2,500 square foot parcel, so that's approximately 0.05 acres, from suburban residential to industrial, and to redesignate the regulatory zone of that same parcel from public, semi-public facilities to industrial. And then if approved, to authorize the chair to sign a resolution to this effect, 2 resolutions to this effect. Here is a map of the general area. As you can see, the project area is near the California border in the Cold Springs area plan, south of 395 there. To zoom in, so you can see the little square slightly bigger. There it is. As you can tell, it's between 2 larger lots there. Again, near California, near 395. Some background on the parcel in particular. As you might guess from the size and shape, it is currently a utility parcel owned by the Great Basin Water Company and is the site of an abandoned well. The applicant is working with the Great Basin Water Company to identify and designate a site for a new well. It falls within the Cold Springs Suburban Character Management Area. This is the designated growth area for the Cold Springs Area Plan, and notably is also the designated site for all commercial and industrial development, which is consistent with this request. There's an approved special use permit for major grading for future industrial development on the site. So to be clear about that, the approval is for the grading. There are no uses currently approved, so any future uses on the site would need approval through whatever the appropriate process was at that time. Here are some side-by-side maps. If you really squint, you should be able to see the difference. This is the master plan amendment change. So the 2,500 square foot parcel from suburban residential to industrial, so from that pink color to gray to match the surrounding parcels there. Next, we have the regulatory zone amendment request, same parcel from public, semi-public facilities blue to industrial, shown in gray. As you can see, same on the previous map, the surrounding parcels, both directly adjacent and also to the west, are already designated industrial in both cases. To look at an evaluation of compatible land uses, right now, the public, semi-public facilities zoning is highly compatible with the surrounding industrial parcels. Of course, if this change is approved, it will then be identical. The site previously had the use for the well. That well is now abandoned, so the circumstances for the lot have changed, and the applicant is making this request in pursuit of industrial development of this lot and those surrounding industrially zoned lots. Facilities, water to the lot would be provided by the Truckee Meadows Water Authority, and wastewater services by the Truckee Meadows Water Reclamation Facility. Again, any approvals for specific uses proposed in the future will have to gain approvals for these water and wastewater allocations at that time. The water rights manager for Washoe County did review this application in accordance with Cold Springs Area Plan Policies 14.3 A and C, and found that there's sufficient water infrastructure for this change. Washoe County Engineering also reviewed the proposal and found that it would have minimal impacts to traffic, which is required by Cold Springs, in accordance with the findings required by Cold Springs Area Plan Policies 14.3 D through F. Just something to note about this, of course, broad industrial development of these existing lots will have impacts on the roads. This request specifically is for that 2,500 square foot lot. So quite a small area where this change is being requested. A neighborhood meeting was held via Zoom on November 7th of 2022. One member of the public attended and had questions about potential impacts to water rates and an existing water tank for the Great Basin Water Company. The developer responded that the Great Basin Water Company's operations are separate from this zone and regulatory zone and master plan designation change request. 32 property owners were noticed within 1,600 feet, and the 74 tenants of the Lakeview 74 Mobile Home Park, which is to the northeast of the project area, as is required by NRS. Many agencies reviewed this application and provided comments, which are included in Exhibit D. Staff can make all findings, which is laid out in the staff report, including the specific findings from the Cold Springs Area Plan, which specifically are CS 14.1 A through C and CS 14.3 A through J. With that in mind, here is a possible motion for the master plan amendment, one for the regulatory zone amendment, and I am happy to answer any questions. The applicant is here and I believe has a presentation.
Do commissioners have any questions at this point, or do they just want to go on to the applicant's presentation? Applicant's presentation, thank you, Kat.
Thank you, Kat. Good evening, Commissioners. Madam Chair and Commissioner John Krompottek with KLS Planning representing the applicant. Kat touched on all of this, that introductory request on the master plan amendment and zone change, the 50 by 50 parcel. So I'll breeze through that. Here is our own image of, to show kind of the big picture, the existing abandoned parcel of the well site, and then the potential relocation. It's not precise, so it's potential based on where this approval process goes, and then approximate for relocation as it relates to the approved special use permit and intended big box project. This, I noticed a discrepancy, and if I'm mistaken, so be it, I would apologize. I say this meets the staff legal requirements for noticing. I have some reference of 72 parcels noticed for the meeting. I heard Kat say 32, and then I quickly looked, and if you look at all that band of parcels, this map that's highlighted in blue was provided by staff. It looks like more than 32. I don't, you know, it is what it is. I respectfully just wanted to point that out. And then this kind of also shows the existing tank parcel and the existing well parcel and the new relocated well parcel that's intended. And I also have a note there about the one person that attended from the community meeting on November 7. And she asked, will the relocation of the well affect monthly water bills? And is the water tank going to be relocated? And as staff pointed out, neither of those would happen. There's the official notice of which was reviewed by staff, the applicant, and worked fine for the noticing. That has become much more streamlined. Trevor's heard a lot from me on this process, and I think we all as professionals now have embraced it pretty well, so it's working well. So this is the one item that I have that's unique because I was involved with the special use permit for the grading for that industrial site, which resulted in this plan. Again, it was grading for just the SUP, but with the intended distribution warehouses. And so what's really going on there is we have this well parcel sitting underneath an approved and intended big box e-commerce or logistics facility. And so we tried a lot of ways to deal with it, and in working with staff, we realized that at the end of the day, because the master plan designation and the zoning designation were not compatible, we had to go through this process. And again, it shows the intended well relocation parcel to the north. And then, as staff pointed out, there's the existing PSP and zoning proposed as I, compatible with everything around it, and then similar on the master plan, suburban residential, and I to zoning, to master plan as well. I believe that's all I have, and I'd be happy to answer any questions. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions at this time? Or staff, anything there? Otherwise, we'll open it to, is there any public comment for this item at this time, either in chambers or via Zoom?
We have no public comment in chambers, or, oh, we do?
Okay.
If you would please come see us after to fill out a public comment form.
Come on.
Go ahead up to the microphone. Please state your name for the record.
For the record, my name is Carolyn Ney, N-E-Y. I am a resident that's adjacent to the proposed well, and I do have a couple of questions. So I understand that it's being changed to industrial, and that it is separate with Truckee Meadows Water. So I did not see where the new well, which area that's going to support immediately in the future. And there was discussion of minimal traffic impacts. So the South Reno Park Boulevard is a very rough road. It's not paved really. Will there be, and are there going to be some impacts on that? I'm not sure if there's going to be drilling or trucks coming up, or what that level of construction might be. So that's another question. And the other is the size of the well. My concern there would just be any visual impact for the views of actually where I'm at, which my view would be west over South Reno Park Boulevard. Is anyone able to address those questions?
You can answer.
No, because they're very good questions, ma'am, but they're not exactly specifically what we're voting on tonight. And that you're under public comment, and we don't respond to public comment.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's really interesting. So you're proposing to change it, but you're not addressing any public comment.
Secretary Lloyd, if you could.
I'm just going to say, ma'am, you have 3 minutes to provide your comments, your testimony. However, it's not a time for question and answer, but you can ask all the questions. And if the Planning Commission feels it's appropriate, they can ask the questions of either staff or the applicant.
Okay. So my questions then, in summary, what area will the new wells support immediately in the future? And the second one is with regard to the traffic impact on that road, South Reno Park Boulevard, which is a very unstructured road and has several potholes in it, very rough. So there's been no talk about what's involved in construction and trucks and things like that coming up. And then also, how big is the water tank?
Thank you,
And-
ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ma'am, could you please come over here? We need you to fill out a public comment form. Thank you.
Okay, is there any other public comment, ladies and gentlemen, either?
There's no further public comment in chambers, nor via Zoom.
Thank you very much. We will close public comment. We will bring it back to the commission for questions, either of the presenter or staff, or if you had a question regarding.
Chair Donchak.
Yes, Vice Chair Civilcheck.
This question is for staff. I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but just for clarification, the relocation is not under our consideration this evening.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any other questions for either staff or the presenter?
Commissioner Lazareski for staff. Do we have a record of a plug and abandon of that pre-existing well?
Caterpillar, not that was included with the application. The applicant might know of a record of that. And I believe Great Basin Water may or may not be on Zoom, who are the owners of the parcel, who might have knowledge of that.
Okay, then again for staff. Before there would be any construction permits or something like that, plug and abandon record being on file would be presumably a requirement of planning or
Yes.
building? Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from commissioners for either staff or the presenter? Hearing none, I will close the questions and bring it back to discussion or for a motion, ladies and gentlemen.
Chair Donchak,
Yes, Vice Chair Civilcheck,
I'm prepared to make a motion.
please do.
And we can combine the master plan and the regulatory zone amendment into. Okay. I will make the master plan amendment motion. I move, after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report and the information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Planning Commission adopt the resolution contained in Exhibit A of the staff report to amend the master plan as set forth in Master Plan Amendment Case Number WMPA 22-0007, having made at least 3 of the 5 findings, having made all findings of the Washoe County Code 110.820.15 parenthetically D, and having found that the amendment is in conformance with Cold Springs Area Plan Policies CS.14.1 and 14.3.1. Further move to certify the resolution and proposed master plan amendment in WMPA 22-007 as set forth in this staff report, and for submission to the Washoe County Board of Commissioners, and authorize the chair to sign the resolution on behalf of the planning commissioners.
Thank you, Vice Chair Civilcheck. Do we have a second?
This is Rob. For the record, I'll second it.
Thank you. We have a first and second. Is there any further discussion the commission would like at this time? Seeing none, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? The MPA passes. We're looking for the second motion on a regulatory zone amendment.
I'll be happy to make that motion. Commissioner Lazareski, I move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report and information received during the public hearing, the Planning Commission adopt the resolution included as Exhibit B, recommended adoption of regulatory zone amendment case number WRZA 22-0008, having made all the findings included in the Washoe County Code section 110.821.15D. I further move to certify the resolution and the proposed regulatory zone amendment in WRZA 22-0008 as set forth in the staff report
for submission to the Washoe County Board of Commissioners and authorize the chair to sign the resolution on behalf of the Washoe County Planning Commission.
Thank you very much. Do we have a second?
Commissioner Nelson will second.
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson. We have a first and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The RZA passes. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're moving on to item 8B. Secretary Lloyd, if you would, please.
Yes, this is special use permit, case number WSUP 220037, for hearing, discussion, and possible action to approve a special use permit for one, the establishment of a 65 megawatt photovoltaic generation facility and a 25 megawatt battery energy storage system, which is an energy production renewable use type. Two, construction of a 345 kV substation and 5-mile 345 kV gen tie line connecting the proposed substation to the Fort Sage substation, which is a utility service use. And three, major grading for 22.2 acres of ground disturbance and 40,000 cubic yards of fill. Four, a request to vary all parking design requirements of Washoe County Code 110-410-25. And five, a request to vary the maximum height of the 35-foot to allow for structures of 150 feet in height. This project meets the standard for a project of regional significance because it will generate more than 5 megawatts of electricity, require construction of a substation, and require construction of a transmission line that carries 60 kV or more. It will require approval of the regional planning authorities before any approval at the county level would take effect. The substation will be located on APN 074-470-05. This project also requires recommendation to amend the regional utility corridor map from the Board of County Commissioners to identify the location of the new substation and transmission line. This project will need to comply with all federal and state approvals before any approval at the county level will take effect. And once again, representing Washoe County is Staff Planner Kat Oakley.
Thank you, Kat. Before I go this time, I forgot last time, and I apologize, to ask if there were any disclosures by the commissioners, either ethics or ex parte communications regarding this item. Hearing none, thank you. Kat, thank you.
Kat Oakley, Washoe County Planning. This request is a special use permit for the Piranha Solar Project. As you just heard, it has many parts, and we'll get to those. It's located approximately 5 miles west of Flanagan on 4 parcels that are contiguous. And before we go any further, I want to address what's mentioned in the staff report in bold. So hopefully it was clear enough. But there is a transmission line, a generation tie line that is referenced in the application and the agency comments and the case description. And that is not part of the special use permit request that you are considering today. There was a noticing error where parcels relevant to that transmission line were not properly noticed, and so instead that transmission line, which is mentioned in this application, will be heard at a future date, and the request today is limited to the activities on the 4 parcels that I just showed you. There they are again. The subject properties fall within the high desert area plan in our zone general rural. As you can see there, they are north of Fish Springs Road, which comes from California and goes all the way to Pyramid Lake, and it is right on the boundary line with California. The surrounding parcels are generally private and undeveloped. Here are the requests that you are considering today. There's the energy production renewable use type for the photovoltaic facility with a capacity of 65 megawatts, and then the 125 megawatts of battery storage. The utility services use type for the 345 kilovolt substation. The associated grading, which includes 22.5 acres of disturbed area and 40,000 cubic yards of fill, and requests to vary the height and parking requirements. Some background on these parcels: they are generally vegetated with brush or sparsely vegetated with alkaline soil. It's flat and is bisected by the Union Pacific Railroad right-of-way and tracks. Rainbow Road also runs along the eastern border of the parcel and has a right-of-way. And the applicant has stated that they are intending to revert these parcels to acreage, so what is now 4 parcels will ultimately be 1, and that is one of the conditions of approval, addresses that. Here's a site plan. You can see panels over most of the site with inverters, and then a 8-acre substation area in the southeast corner of the parcel that will include the substation and the proposed battery electric storage system. For the details of the photovoltaic facility, the solar panels, as I said before, 65 megawatts of generation and 125 megawatts of storage. And since it is producing more than 5 megawatts of energy, it is a project of regional significance, which means it will require conformance review from the Truckee Meadows Regional Planning Agency. The panels are mounted on piles, a design that we see a lot, and I have a tracking system to rotate with the sun. This design leads to minimum site disturbance for installing the panels themselves. There are also 150 approximately battery enclosures proposed in the substation area for the battery electrical storage system. That's the 125 megawatts of storage. There's conditions to require that those containers be painted a single color to blend in with the landscape, as is required for cargo containers in the county in general. They contain HVAC systems, which will generate noise, but the noise study provided by the applicant indicates that will fall within county standards. They also contain fire suppression systems, which are specifically designed to suppress lithium battery fires. For the details of the substation, as I stated before, it'll be in the southeastern corner of the parcel there. The requested maximum height is 150 feet. The final design of the substation, I believe, is still being engineered and developed. That's the requested maximum, and there will be elements of the substation that are taller, not taller than 150 feet, taller than the 35-foot minimum or maximum. The substation will be 345 kilovolts and will require an amendment to the regional utility site and corridor map to reflect the new substation site. So that will have to go to the Board of County Commissioners to sponsor that amendment, and then ultimately to the Regional Planning Commission to make that amendment, and then for the general conformance review for a project of regional significance. Here's the grading plan. The vast majority of the grading is related to the substation area and the installation of those access roads. So that's the 22.5 acres of disturbance, 40,000 cubic yards of fill is aggregate for those areas. It does meet all the minimum or all the grading standards, and as previously mentioned, the actual installation of the solar panels, because they are on piles driven into the ground, results in minimum disturbance. A vegetation management plan was also included with the application. For our design standards, there will be a maximum of 5 employees on site as indicated in the application, which means 5 parking spaces according to our code. The applicant requested to vary all the parking design standards of WCC 110, 410, 25, and staff is supportive of the waiving of the paving and landscaping related standards, which is A and C through G. That's consistent with the area, which is very undeveloped, and also with intermittent use of the parking area. This is not a permanently staffed site, but it is a place that employees will visit for maintenance, and so staff thinks the waiving of those standards is appropriate. However, standards B and H through I, we are proposing should still be applicable. They govern the dimensions of the parking space and the access and allow for sufficient parking access. In terms of landscaping, the energy production renewable use type is exempt from landscaping standards when located a mile or more from the nearest residence, which in this case it is, with the exception of the standards within the parking code. As I just went over, there's a request to waive the standards. Staff is supportive of that, as it's not characteristic with the area and wouldn't camouflage or provide any positive screening in this circumstance. On to wildlife. There's quite a bit in the staff report about this. To go over it just species by species, the photovoltaic facility, according to our master plan maps, and that's again those 4 parcels to the north only, which is what we're looking at today, fall within intermittent grade sage grouse territory habitat, and that's with the master plan maps. Now with the maps provided by NDOW, it falls outside of core and priority sage grouse habitat. Those are management categories that they use in their conservation efforts for sage grouse. They're not, they are NDOW specific categorizations for those purposes. And again, this area is outside of those areas, those higher priority areas, and so no conditions to minimize or mitigate impacts were recommended by NDOW for those 4 parcels and the proposed development on them. Next is mule deer. Mule deer are a declining species of concern per NDOW. This is not a designation under the Endangered Species Act or anything like that, but is just an indication of the Department of Wildlife's concern over the population decrease in the species. However, you can see that the project site does fall outside of crucial ranges for mule deer, and NDOW did not recommend any conditions related to mule deer. Now for 2 Nevada protected species that have range in this area. First, pronghorn antelope, and second, the dark and pale kangaroo mice. They are both protected species. The project site is not within critical pronghorn antelope habitat, and no conditions of approval were recommended. NDOW did recommend a condition to require a small mammal survey for kangaroo mice. This is to help with their conservation efforts in general and specifically in this area, and staff included this in our conditions of approval. Take us a break. Okay, cultural resources. An archaeological survey was done over the entire project area, and a number of artifact scatters were located. None in this project area with potential to be listed as a national historic place. No comments were received from any of our tribes, Nevada tribes that we work with, or from the State Historic Preservation Office, and no conditions are recommended for cultural resources. 26 agencies had the opportunity to review this, several provided comments, and 33 unique property owners within 2,000 feet received notice of this application. Staff can make all of the findings. That is the 5 normal findings for a special use permit, which is consistency with the master plan and area plan, adequate improvements, site suitability, issuance not detrimental, and no effect on a military installation, and the 3 additional findings required for natural resource development, which is that there's no undue detriment to the environment, no undue detriment to scenic resources, and that there is a reclamation plan, so after the useful life of this facility that the site would be reclaimed. With that in mind, here is a motion for approval with conditions, which is what staff recommends. Note in the highlighted area, there is a slight change from what is in your packets to include the grading. So this portion specifying what you are approving will need to be included in the motion because of that change due to the noticing error. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anyone have any questions for Kat at this point?
This is Rob for the record. Kat, do you have that motion printed out for us?
No, I do not.
Then you'll have to put it back up when
Yes.
we're ready.
That was my only question.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Ms. Phillips.
Commissioner Phillips, this is specifically does not, well, let me reword this. This does not mean that the lines going out are included within this proposal.
Yes, that is correct. You are only making a decision on the solar facility, the battery storage, the substation, and the grading, and it has no bearing on a decision on a transmission line in the future.
Okay, and the second part of my question is that it is on record here that they will not be doing any of this work during certain times of the year.
Yes, that is included as a condition of approval. Well, no, I
think the
apologize.
breeding time and,
So there will be, well, there are no conditions of approval for this area for seasonal restrictions on construction because none were recommended by the Nevada Department of Wildlife. Do you see a condition relating
I
to
did
that?
see something in here in the agreement.
If you saw it in the agency comments, it is likely related to a discussion of the transmission line, which is not under consideration today.
It would be in the next part.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Kat. Any other questions at this time? Do we have a presentation that? No.
The applicant is here to answer questions, but does not have a presentation.
Okay. At this time, do commissioners have any questions for the applicant?
Commissioner Lazareski for the applicant. Have you identified the chemistry of the lithium-ion battery that you'll be using?
We have taken a look at several different chemistries, and we've addressed those in environmental impact reports, both in the state of California and with the Public Utility Commission of Nevada. I believe we've considered 3 alternatives on batteries. Each one has its own fire hazards and its own peculiar way of putting them out. But they're all 3 of them are similar in the fact that all 3 that we've looked at requires no water to be put on them if they overcharge. If they overcharge, you throw water on them, they just explode and create more gas. So they have to be put out with these fire suppression systems. Yes.
What's the duration of the storage considered?
So the duration, we're proposing, because of NV Energy's requirements, to go a maximum of 125 megawatts. So when they discharge out, it's 4 times that. So what 125 times 4 would be 500 megawatts. Could be dispersed over a 4-hour period of discharging.
The 150-foot height limit, do you actually need that on the substation, or is that for?
No, it's one of those issues where we want our engineers to have flexibility. When you get down at Fort Sage, it gets congested. We have NextEra, who's put up towers to convey their interconnection. We've got Alturas Intertie, which has a 345 kV transmission line that comes into Fort Sage. And so they all create some obstacles. Our bus is on the back side of of Fort Sage. So what we want is to give the engineers some flexibility. If they want to go over the top, they got to keep a certain separation from the existing conductors. If they want to go under, then that's a whole nother issue or matter with engineering and the resistivity of the soils that are there, et cetera. So we're just trying to give them as many options as they possibly can have. But typically, the poles are like 75 feet tall, on the Gentile line. And so that's typically what it would be. But when you get down to Fort Sage, there's already about 60-foot high systems. And so we got to have a little higher to get above that. And then in addition to it, as 150 was because we were also looking at maybe some weather stations. But this site is mirrored on the California side. So we have options. For example, we could put the substation on California side. We could put the transmission Gentile lines on the California side. We could put all the meteorological data and towers on the California side. It just depends on how we want to do the final and what kind of data we're trying to collect and how important it is to be, 2,000 feet difference with meteorological data. It may not make any difference at all when we start taking a look at the final site characteristics. So, yeah.
Since you brought it up, if you're selling this power into California, is there a reason that you want the substation and Gentile line on the Nevada side?
Well, it's a direct shot into NV Energy. NV Energy is the substation of choice. The power can be distributed either way. You know, it can go to California, it can go to Nevada. NV Energy is preparing the green tie line so that they can convey renewable energy to the state of California for sale. Depending on, you know, which day you talk to them, that tie line between northern Nevada and southern Nevada is anywhere between 2 years and 4 years away. The Fort Sage substation has a lot of capacity, and we've got one of the last, we got the last bus on that with our interconnection. The Cal ISO is being thought about to run Nevada as well. Currently, it is contracted with Arizona. It's looking to contract with Oregon and Washington. So, you know, whether it's in California or Nevada might not make a hill of beans difference in one more year if Cal ISO is going to be the independent system operator for all the WIC. But that's yet to be determined.
All right, so given that the 150 feet was about the tie line that's not before us tonight, what actual height would you request for the substation?
So the substation, I think the highest portion of that's probably going to be not to exceed 90 feet. So between 75 and 90 feet. Yeah.
Okay.
Commissioners, any further questions at this time? If not, then I will close the public hearing. Oh, I thought I had. I'm sorry. I was looking ahead here. I did the same thing. Ladies and gentlemen, is there any public comment either in chambers or via Zoom for this item?
I have no public comment in chambers, nor do I have any via Zoom.
Thank you. I will close public comment and bring it back to commissioners for any further questions at this time. If not, I'm going to close the public hearing. I'm going to bring it back to our discussion or a motion.
We need that motion back up.
Oh, Kat, could we get the motion put back up so we do the proper motion?
No.
No.
Hello? There we go.
There we go.
So I was looking at the motion on the screen, and I think it's incomplete if she puts it up. So what I would recommend is if you look at like the page 2 on your staff report, the only thing that really needs to be added would be the grading aspect. So if you literally just add the word grading for a motion in the affirmative, that would be my recommendation.
And Gus, is there anything we need to remove from this because we're not doing the lines?
No, this motion does not, the motion in your staff report does not include the gen-tie line, which is not before you today. But the only thing that I would recommend if you are going to move in the affirmative is just add the word grading. You know, substation and grading only kind of thing.
Okay, commissioners, do we have a motion?
Chair, this is Commissioner Lazareski. I'd like to propose the motion with the amendment that we limit the substation height to 100 feet, which is more than the applicant has asked for, but takes out the extra height that would have applied to the inner tie line that is not before us tonight. So I move that after giving reasoned consideration to the information contained in the staff report and information received during the public hearing, the Washoe County Planning Commission approve with conditions the special use permit case number WSUP 22-0037 for Prana Renewable Energies LLC for the photovoltaic generation facility and 125 megawatt battery energy storage system and substation with a height limitation of 100 feet and grading only with conditions included in Exhibit A to the matter, having made all 5 findings in accordance with the Washoe County Code Section 110.810.30 and the additional development of natural resources findings in accordance with Washoe County Code 110.810.35 I further move to waive the development code standards in WCC 110.410.25A and C through G, and vary the development code standards in table 110.406.05.1 to allow structures up to 100 feet in height.
Commissioners, we have a motion. Do we have a second for this motion?
Commissioner Nelson will second.
Thank you, Commissioner Nelson. We have a second for the motion. Any questions at this time?
Chair Donchek.
Yes, Vice Chair Civilcheck.
This is to my fellow commissioner and to council and the secretary. In terms of changing height, does that create an unintended burden on the developer? Because the language is permissive, may reach up to 150, but it may not.
I feel like that might be a question for the developer.
Okay.
My name is Brent Moore. I'm with Sierra Geotech, and yeah, the 100 feet's fine. It's,
Okay.
We're only really concerned with when we get down to Fort Sage Substation, and it could very well be 100 feet is plenty there too. We just have to finalize our final plans, go back and look at, the national code for electrical safety, et cetera. And, 100 feet might be just fine there too. But we won't have to address that until such time that we go back and we approve the Gentile line, so.
Okay, thank you very much.
Any further questions, ladies and gentlemen? Hearing none, all of those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes with amendments. Thank you. Moving right along, we're on to item 9, Chair and Commission items. 9A, is there any future agenda items that commissioners would like to have placed on the agenda in the future? Hearing none at this time. Item 9B, are there any requests for information from staff for a future, to be reported future during our meetings and agenda? Hearing none, thank you. Moving on to item 10, directors and legal counsel's items. Secretary Lloyd, is there anything for a report on previous planning commission items?
Yeah, I have several items to report on, and I should have jumped in under future agenda items. We will be bringing back an update, a status update on the master plan, Vision Washoe 2040 next month. All of these items happened at the January 17th County Commission meeting. First was the Village Green Master Plan amendments for the specific plan. The BCC affirmed the decision of the Planning Commission and adopted the master plan. Also, the County Commission affirmed the Planning Commission's denial of the code amendment. This had to do with the consumption lounges, you may remember. And then finally, the BCC also adopted the code amendment to Article 220, that was the Tahoe Code Amendment, to allow single-family residences in the Special Area 1 of Incline Village. And that's all I have to report.
Thank you, Secretary Lloyd. Ms. Gustafson, do we have any legal information and updates?
There are no updates from me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ladies, one last time is the request, is there anything public comment either in chambers or via Zoom tonight?
There is no further public comments in chambers nor via Zoom.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think we need a motion for adjournment. We are adjourned.